Hello, everybody. I'm so happy today. I'm together with Monica. Oh, I always have difficulties to spell your last name. Hi, Monica.
Hi, you're good. Nobody needs to know my last name. I'm just Monica. Monica
Say-
Mata Gilliam, for those of you who like to know these things. But
Yeah, probably next time I know it, don't know it again. Like,
yeah,
oh my God.
yep, that's all right. I might be a different Monica next time. So maybe I should just come up with a new last name every time.
Yeah, that's so true. We just had a short chat before the video, and like it's so awesome how much change is going on everywhere, and with the entities, with the facilitators, with ourselves. Like, yeah. So, Monica, what has changed for you since you and talked to the entities facilitator, and when have you started the whole journey?
Ah, well, I started maybe we've talked to the entities 3 or 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, is that true? And a million years ago. And, it's interesting. What actually got me to dive into this particular work is that I've always had a lot of capacities with entities, but when I was really young, I realized um, that if you let people know that you see things or hear things that they don't see or hear, that they may think that you're crazy. And that did not seem like a very safe thing for me. It seemed like, oh, people get medicated and put in all sorts of boring therapy if they're crazy. So I don't want to do that. So when I was like,
Because it's boring, not because of the things. Like, it sounds boring. Funny.
it sounds really boring and just like kind of mean too, just to be told that like you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And so I remember when I was really little, maybe like 5 or 6, looking around and being like, how come nobody's talking to everybody else who's here? And then, oh, I'm not supposed to. And so then I just really shut that down. And it was really uncomfortable for me. It was um, like if somebody's standing right next to you, but you're pretending that they're not,
Hmm.
it was a little creepy for me. And so I would be scared a lot of the time and just get frozen. And, and really it was just that I was aware of a lot of stuff and not acknowledging it. And then, but I figured out all sorts of ways just to like cope and be as normal as possible for me, which turns out isn't that normal. But I'm an acupuncturist also, and I had an acupuncture clinic, and there was a woman who came in who was incredibly aware of so much, and I saw how uncomfortable she was,
Hmm.
and she said to me, all I want is to live a life where I just work all the time and I don't really hang out with anybody. And I'm just like, watch a lot of movies, maybe. And it just sounded so horrible to me that I was like, that's it. I know that there's more that's available. And I would like for this person to have more of a life than that. So, whatever it is that I need to do, whatever tools I can figure out to give to her, I will do that. And so then I just started looking everywhere and I found, talked to the entities. And then I started playing with the tools and, you know, kind of introducing her to them. And it made so much more um, available in my life. Like my body just felt better, and I could just acknowledge, okay, whether anybody else is willing to talk about this or not, I'm aware of things. And then with this particular person, it helped her out so much. And that was just really inspiring to me because that is a joy for me, for people to realize how amazing they are and how amazing this world is and how rich it is, and that there's so much that you can be communicating with, talking to, whether that's like the plants in your garden or the people who've passed away or whatever. So it made a huge change in my life. Especially I was living in New Orleans when I really got into this, and there are a lot of entities in New Orleans that are kind of tricksters, and it was nice just to like turn toward everybody and be like, back up, give me some space. and just have my body be more comfortable and my business be more profitable. And so that's my kind of long journey, just to talk to the entities. And then since I have been working with talk to the entities, it's been amazing just in terms of my awareness in general. Like I'm an access consciousness facilitator, and the tools of talk to the entities really made me really acknowledge what I'm aware of, whether anybody else is aware of it or not. It was like awareness on steroids, to play with the tools of access consciousness, but also acknowledging that there's more than just what you can see or what you might be familiar with communicating with. So
And Monica, that is touching me so much that you started your journey like because a client came to you and you see the tools are not enough that I'm having. I have to search for more to help her. That's such a big kindness. Wow, that makes me like, wow, please world, more of that. It's like, yeah, like if you know there must be something possible, you have an awareness, there must be more. And yes, with the tools of access, with the tools of talk to the entities, there is so much more. And yeah, like
and
they're not, yeah.
well, what I love about it so much is how empowering it is. It's not like you have to do what I'm doing. It really is an acknowledgement of like, hey, what are you aware of that? It's like, what languages do you speak that maybe nobody else speaks? Like, what colors do you see that other people don't see? And what if you didn't have to make yourself wrong for seeing the colors that you see, but you could enjoy them and play with them in your own way? And that to me was like I mentioned before, the idea of going to therapy seemed really boring to me because there was a sense that like we were supposed to be a certain way and somebody was going to try and help you be
Like the
right,
schematic,
or
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like everybody else, or but like we're so different, each of us, and like how cool, and what we can talk to, and like totally opens different things up. Like I love to talk to the earth a lot. And I just had a friend visiting who had just moved into a new space, and he said that like just me being around, that like he noticed that the yard nearby, or for the house, started to like open up, and that he wasn't noticing it at first, and then all of a sudden he was noticing it more. And every day I'm like, hello tree, hello grass, hello everything, and just communicating with everything or saying hello to everything really starts to like open up the energy around it. And so it's cool that like me being here started to make his life different with the plants in a way that like we happen to be able to talk about it. Maybe you can't talk to everybody about it, but he noticed it, and it was a really cool acknowledgement of something that I kind of take for granted because I just so like to talk to the trees that I'm like, well, of course.
Yeah. And that's so cool. Yeah, like you can get like, as you say, like talking with the earth. Like I was like, well, there's so many things in my head, right? Like, oh, what's the question here? So there was one facilitator asking, what are your 5 priorities in life? And if I asked that question, my first priority is actually the connection with the earth. And I was surprised by myself. So really, that's my first priority. And then, of course, sure, with this body, the earth, we are connected. Like without the earth, my body would not be able to exist. So thank you, earth. And like to have that awareness, like how much more we are connected and oftentimes not willing to acknowledge. It's, yeah.
I mean, and anywhere that you put your awareness, it's like something grows. We could maybe try to define it. Scientists have been trying to define it. All sorts of metaphysical people have been saying a lot about it. But for me, everywhere that I put my attention, I become more sensitive to my own awareness there. And really simply, it's very interesting. Like if you have a painting and you don't look at it, versus if you have the same painting and you start to really look at it, you may begin to notice so much more about it and to like enjoy this amazing creation, And the similar thing with the earth, it's like, here we are, and we can walk down the street and not notice the leaves, and that would be fine. Like, you don't have to, but you can walk down the street and you can notice the leaves, and like, it can actually change your day. It can change your whole life to like actually see that flower or notice the cool design in the pavement. I mean, this universe that we live in is phenomenal. It's amazing to get to be, and we get really caught up in like the problems of things. And yeah, there are some things that are a little bit uncomfortable or whatever, but there's so much richness to enjoy. And when you really allow yourself to be present with it, not only can you enjoy that richness more, but you can also see like, something that's gonna come to like hit you in the face before you get there. Like if somebody's throwing a ball at you and you have your eyes closed, you might not get your head out of the way,
Yeah.
But when you allow yourself to be present with all of it, that like the possibilities for your own enjoyment expand, and for your ability to shift and dynamically move with everything also expands. And it's super exciting to me to know that there are more people in the world who are interested in playing with awareness in general, and with awareness with really subtle energies and entities that that other people don't talk to.
Yeah. And what I really love about Talk to the Entities is also like to become aware how different we all are with our awareness. Like that's nothing similar. Like, and I've never like I thought about that before, but with the entities, it's so clear for me. We are all so different. How we perceive things, how we receive it, and yeah, we are so different, and it's kind of cool. And also the entities are there's so much available outside there. And as you mentioned, like you're playing with the nature, like I can remember that one video you did last year somewhere where you play with a shadow of a tree with the leaves. You can remember that? Yeah. And then the tree was answering and waving. Like it was, can you remember that? I would like to post that under that.
I forgot about that. I'll find it. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if you're willing to be open and to play, I wonder what can show up for you guys. Like, yeah, if there's nothing fixed and solid, and more like how much playful energies are out there in nature, like around you. You just have to ask for that and like, look what shows up.
Yeah. And really what you were saying about, how it's different for everyone. Mm-hmm. I find that, in some Talk to the Entities classes, it's like people have an idea of what it means to talk to the entities. Like my example of, I had the idea that if I did it, people would lock me up. Mm-hmm. So that was an idea of what it means. Not realizing that I don't have to say anything to anybody. I can still talk to whatever. But also what, like because there's not a lot of education in this area in general, this kind of taboo subject turns into this like fantasy where people are like, oh, you talk to entities, does that mean that you see them and they come to you in like a specific way? Like people have an idea that it would be like, I'm not even sure, but everybody's got these different ideas. I discovered this as I talk to them. But like some people, for me, a lot of the time when I first was really doing a lot of work with Talk to the Entities, my biggest tool of awareness was my body. my body would just like start to, I'd have stiffness in my back or stiffness in my neck, or, you know, a sharp tingling sensation or something. And I would try all of these different things. And the one thing that it really responded to was, oh, does this have to do with entities? And it was, for a while, it was kind of like searching around in the dark, you know, just like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And just everything that that opened up my awareness, or that actually created shift, that's what I started to play with even more. You know, so I'd be like, oh, what's that knee thing? And, you know, maybe it was like, oh, you just fell down, you know, oh, okay, that's right. Or what's that knee thing? Oh, that person next to you has a knee thing. Or, oh, what's that knee thing? Oh, it's somehow related to entities. Okay, what is that? What? That's like my most articulate question these days. It's like, huh? More information, please.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what
And
was,
then well, sorry, it's also super exciting for me in working with other people with this, to see how other people are aware, how their awareness shows up. It's such a cool adventure for me to see the languages that each person speaks, and then as they are willing to step into it, it gives me new ideas. Like, oh, you could be aware like that. Okay, what would that be like? You know?
cool. I
Yeah.
just was about to ask you, like, what was your um like most fun or intensest, most intense how do you say, oh, words these days, like in class, like what has happened there, like what was the most funniest thing, or the most, like we say, wow, that is able, like what is there some example you can say, like in class, what you just, what came
Huh.
up, or what gave you new awareness, or what was, yeah, you know?
Well, okay, so two different things come up. One of them is just one thing that really inspires me is getting to be around people over the course of, you know, the talk to the entities beginning class, which is 2.5 days, which is a long time to be with people, to really see them change. And all of the subtle ways, like sometimes people's faces will look really different. And like I said before, with me, you know, kind of trying not to be aware of what I was aware of, like actually took a lot of effort. And then just like stepping into it has been just physically relaxing for my body. But then, so I see that with some other people too, but it's just like to be in somebody's presence as they're actually choosing to look at something that has been there for them. Because, you know, the people who show up to talk to the entities classes, they have a drive for whatever reason to face something, to get more information about something. And sometimes there have been people who've been really like, they just have so much going on. And then over the course of 2 days, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't go in like a linear progression, but just to see that shift and change, and to, for me to perceive like what opens up in people's worlds. And I know that, you know, wow, I kind of want to cry for a second. That's interesting. But like each of us actually being happy contributes to everybody. And so for me, when I see somebody open up into more of like actually what and who they are, I know that that changes the world. And I can sense it's like a wave of like a blossoming or something, a flower opening up, or, you know, that change that I can perceive in people. And then everywhere that I know that that will actually change the world, like that blows my mind. So that's one thing. And then a story that comes up is with another patient that I had in my clinic. I had started doing some work with Talk to the Entities, and one thing that we talk about as having office hours, or, you know, when you're finally looking at something that you haven't been looking at for a long time, there may be a lot of backlog. And so I started, you know, really working with talk to the entities. And then it was like, oh my God, the entities won't shut up. Like, I can't sleep. It's just like, bah, 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 bah. So I finally was like, look, guys, if you want a session with me, that's fine. I'm interested. But like, come during clinic hours. Bring some people with some money because I got to pay rent, and come during clinic hours. And then all of a sudden, almost everybody who walked in the door had like a little entity walking in right behind them. And I forgot that I'd asked that. And I was like, wow, what's going on? But this woman came in who was like really outside of my normal patient population. And she walked in, she was in her early 40s. She looked like she was 90, and she could barely move. She was in so much pain. And over the course of a few sessions, every time she came in, I would see this outline of someone standing in the corner. And I didn't want to freak her out, so I didn't say anything about it for a while. But then finally, I was just like, hey, has anybody you know passed away recently? And she just started crying. Apparently, her son had been killed the year before, and she knew that he needed to move. She had told him, you know, you need to go. This isn't a good place. I have a really weird feeling about it. And then he was murdered. And she was so sad about it. And he was right there. And it was amazing. You know, I just kind of said like, hey, I get the sense that he's here and he might like to talk to you. And then to him, I said, you know, like, hey, if there's any way that I can be a voice for you, please let me know. If there's any way that I can contribute to you too, please let me know. And I was holding onto her feet, and all of a sudden I was just overcome with this love and care and gratitude. It was like being hit by a wave, and I held onto her feet and we talked for a while, and I was just like, mm-hmm. And she cried. And she got up and she walked out of there. I mean, I would like to say I'm a great acupuncturist, but it wasn't the needles, you know? She got up, she looked like 30 years younger, and she had barely been able to walk in. She just got up and walked out like nothing. Mm-hmm. And that was amazing. It was amazing for me that I got to be such an intimate part of this shift in her world and in this other being's world, you know, and that some of her pain was coming from her not really knowing how to receive him since he had passed on, and also not knowing how to receive her own awareness, because she had been aware of something and it hadn't really been followed, and then her son was killed, you know. So, and there are more and more and more stories that I have of that have just been really amazing for me, especially with clients, you know, where there's been something that's really been going on in their life and there's an entity involved, and getting more clarity around that. You know, in this situation, it was like receiving all of this gratitude from her son. But there have been other situations where it's been like, Grandma, stop telling me what to do. Or, you know, like there's so many different ways that this can be applied, but it just really inspires me to see the dynamic shift that all of the other tools that I have don't create. Yeah, you know, it's finding the tool for this situation, you know, but.
And that's so cool. And Talk to the Entities has so much different tools. Like if things are not changing at all, like have a look on that stuff. I mean, it's different. And yes, people probably say it's weird, but who the fuck cares if it makes you more light, more free, more spacious, more fun. I mean, if you can have more fun. Yeah. And
right.
I mean, let people judge, they judge anyway. Like what's going to take that we can have more more of us and of our awarenesses. And it's the same with me, seeing how much people can change within 2.5 days. I just had a talk to the entities class. It was intense and spacious, and they changed so much. And you're so right. Like, and I was not acknowledging that, like, oh, it's not just one person changing. We changed the whole world if one person is changing. It's so much bigger than it looks like sometimes. And perceiving the energy, what is possible and what we are creating, everybody. I mean, every time you choose more of you, you choose more for the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we open doors. I mean, I think about, like, you know, Shannon O'Hara and all of the work that she's done to talk to the entities out there, and how much she has inspired me, you know, just by being who she is, you know. And like, I know that when I first came across Access, and I was like, what is this? This is weird and cool, and like, there's something that I know is here, or this is like something that I've been like searching around for. And so I started watching like every free video I could find, and there are a lot. So I was doing nothing but watching videos. And I saw Shannon O'Hara, and it was like, I could not deny that she was aware of something. And when I would see her facilitating people, it was like she was fast, and she was willing to be really honest and like really look at what people were saying and choosing. And I was like, ooh, I know that's possible. And I don't see people choose that very often. I know that that's possible. I know that I can be that in my way. And like, it was so inspiring to me. And there, you know, so I know that she has gone through all of the journey that she's gone through to like really just say like, damn it, talk to the entities, you know. And like, what a huge impact that has had in my life and in the different people that I've worked with. And then it's like that translates into all of these different ways, you know, where it's like each of us may be inspiring others in ways that we don't even know about or acknowledge, you know, just by actually showing up and being dynamically present, which we all can be, you know. And like, whether that's like dynamically, you know, playful, or dynamically caring, or dynamically, you know, cranky, even, it doesn't matter what it is, but like actually really showing up as who you are. There's so much life in that can really inspire others, and that is so cool.
That's so true. And what's for me also, like, talk to the entities, and Shannon is inviting us to be clear about what's going on. Like, just have a look. What is going on? What is for you? What is not? What are you aware of? Like, have the clarity, and then things get easier if you're willing to have clarity, not like stumble around in a fog somewhere. It's just like, okay, what is that? And just have a look without a judgment, and choose and change.
I mean, and that's it. Really, what I've been looking at recently is like, everywhere that we judge something, we kind of close our eyes to it. You know, we go like, oh, that's bad. But that doesn't change that it's there. You know, we're like, oh, that's perfect. And
it's like children. You can't see me, I'm not here.
Exactly. And even with some of the clearings that we do, I see that people will be like, oh, clear it, go away. What I like to do is like turn right toward whatever it is. It could be the most beautiful thing, or the most like terrifying, terrible thing, or the most like weird thing, whatever it is. But for me, that willingness to go right to it and really face it and receive it, and see like, wow, look at this beautiful creation, or look at this amazing creation. What is this? What's possible? And what's possible when I turn towards something? And what does it create when I pretend that I don't notice something?
Yeah, that's one of the lies we're using. It's not there.
Right. So I mean, this is also something that I just love to talk about and to explore with people. And that's honestly, that's part of the true joy of being a Talk to the Entities facilitator, is like really getting to explore these worlds that are like so dynamic and so rich, and that, you know, we get to be with other people who have their whole journey and all of their awareness. And for them, each participant who comes is like an encyclopedia of awareness, is a, you know, like, and maybe it hasn't all been opened up yet, maybe it hasn't all been tapped into, but it's there. And those who are choosing it contribute to themselves, contribute to the world. And it's just fun to hang out and be like, okay, now what? Now what? Now what? I love it. I mean, how does it get better than that?
How does it? That's so true. Oh my God. Is there more to say, Monica? I think we have our half hour. It's kind of...
Yeah, we're good. We have, I mean, well,
there would be a lot to say.
There's always more.
Always. I just wonder if there is a question in the chat. I'm looking at my phone right now. Donna Salemin. Oh God, how do I...
Yeah, Donna.
I just tried to call you, Monica. You guys are so sparkly. I could perceive the energy all the way in Colorado. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yay! Oh, does it get better? Yay!
Cool. And if you have questions, guys, like, yeah, now I think probably not, but you can type into this chat, let us know if there's something you would like to know from Monica, from me, whatever. Like, there is so much more, and we're also willing to contribute with if there's something wonky or if there's something we can contribute. I mean, there's so many possibilities out there. We just have to grab them and receive.
Yay!
Thank you so much, Monica. Have a good day.
Thank you. You
talk
too.
to you soon. Thank you guys for watching.
Bye.
Bye.